Hey everyone, it's the Angry Honey Badger here, and it is time for us to take a look at another build video today. We're going to be playing as Mordekaiser in the middle lane. Honestly, when people ask me who my favorite champion is, I always have what seems to be a very different answer for that, but I always am a big fan of Mordekaiser. Mostly because, well, honestly, he's slightly worthless in competitive play to a certain degree because he has no crowd control at all, which is very unfortunate, really, for Mordekaiser. But he's one of the first champions I really played a lot of, so I always like him for that reason. So, gonna go ahead and take a look at him today. We're gonna talk about his runes, masteries, abilities, items, a little bit of strategy, and a lot of concepts behind Mordekaiser, because there's actually quite a few different roles you can kind of play with him. A lot of people see him in top lane, a lot of people see him in mid lane as well. Today we're playing him in mid. And we're going to talk about the build a lot, and we're going to talk about a lot of different options you can do, and that's probably because there's lots of ways I actually have built him, so there's really no one way for me to build Mord, although there's really no one way to build any champion. So we're going to go ahead and do all that, so let's go ahead and start off with abilities, so we know what we're talking about as this game goes on. We'll start off with his passive, which is called Iron Man. 35% of the damage that he deals through his abilities is converted into a temporary shield, which is fun. So basically, as you hit things with your abilities, you see that white below your health, that's your shield, and it allows you to not only have a nice shield, but it basically allows you to get into free small engagements without taking any damage, which is what we utilize while we are laning. So you'll see me making sure to get Kale kind of caught up in every single one of my pokes, and so I take a shield and she takes some damage, and then if she turns to go ahead and return damage to me, I'm going to negate almost all of it. So it's very nice. There, we'll take a little bit, and she came back. We used our ultimate there, and a little bit of a fight, but just playing safe. We're just farming right now, forcing her back. We can actually stay in lane quite a long time. We start actually with the Doran's shield for a good health regeneration and just resisting those standard attacks a little bit, and a pot just for safety reasons. There we actually had Udyr pick up the kill, and I picked up an assist, so very helpful. And we're going to go ahead and pick up our revolver on our first trip back to base, because that is always important. So let's go on and continue with the abilities. At level, let's just talk about abilities straight in order. First off, his Q ability is called Mace of Spades. On hit, Mordekaiser will swing his mace, hitting an enemy. If it hits one and there's other enemies around, it'll break off and deal damage additionally to the ones around it. This does scale from attack damage and ability power. It actually scales from both. And if there's only a single target, it's alone, it'll actually do increased damage. It also, once again, scales from ability power and attack damage. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but this ability scales from attack damage. So if you build some, it's not actually terrible. Granted, you are focusing on ability power on Mordekaiser because that's just what it does. Here, we're just going to poke at Kale. She's getting really low, but we're just going to surprise her with an ultimate and another E real quick. And that's just going to blow her up before she can even react. She honestly should not stick around. And we'll go ahead and pick up Kale and the kill and of her pet, because that's what our ultimate does. We'll get to that in a second. So that was our Mace of Spades we just talked about. That's her Q ability. I typically put a point into it at level 2 and max this out second. Maxing out Mordekaiser's abilities actually is really kind of comes down to what you want to do, but the main thing is we're going to max out our E ability first. But let's talk about his W first. Before we get there, the W ability is Creeping Death. That unleashes a protective metal cloud around you. It does deal damage to the people that are getting stuck in that around you. It also does give you some armor and magic resist, which is pretty helpful. So, yeah, if you want to put more points into this, not a terrible idea. I typically max this out last because I focus on a lot of the actual damage for Mordekaiser between his Q ability and his E ability. So let's move on to the E, which is, of course, the Siphon of Destruction. That's his E. You're going to max this out first. Put a point into this at level 1. What happens is, in a cone out in front of you, you're going to deal a lot of damage. It is, of course, scaling from ability power, and it is magic damage. So that's pretty much all that does. It's just kind of his main damage. It hits a lot of units. You can pretty much take a full minion wave out with it. You'll see me doing it over and over. Late game, you can hit a whole minion wave and pretty much murder it. So that's his Siphon of Destruction. And then finally, his ultimate is, of course, the Children of the Grave. When you ult someone, which I believe we're going to in a second, there we did on the Renekton, what happens there is it's going to deal, well, a lot of magic damage to them. And this does scale, obviously, from ability power. It's going to hit them for a percentage of health, half of it immediately, and then the other half over, I think, a short duration of time, I think 10 seconds. And yeah, it scales pretty good. If the target dies while he is affected by Children of the Grave, then Mordekaiser will get that champion as their pet for 30 seconds. And they'll basically go kill things for you. It's really fun to pick up the kills on really fed ADCs and have them murder their own team then. It's happened many times. I've killed a handful of AD carries with the Children of the Grave, and then you turn around and get a quadra kill or something with just your pet. You're not really doing much. I mean, you're still helping, but you can control the pet by, there's a couple different ways, I think. Is it Control or Alt? I don't know. My fingers naturally do it. But if you do that and right-click around, you can actually tell your pet to go do things. So you can send your pet in to go tank buffs or go tank the towers or just, run at the enemy team. And, they'll be tanking the tower. So if you want to take that. So there's lots of things you can do with that. But those are, in fact, your abilities with Mordekaiser. Those first few trips back, we picked up the revolver for the spell vamp, kind of the most important thing, because Mordekaiser's spells do cost him health. So that's just a good way to get free health back from us. Going to go ahead and engage a little bit down here. We're going after the AD carry because we want him as our pet. Although we're not going to be able to kill him, we do pick up a kill on Soraka. He got a bunch of beefy heals from Soraka, so was not able to pick up the kill on him, but we'll be able to push the tower and pick up another kill. But what we did is we picked up the spell vamp with the revolver. The revolver is very important while laning. It's just a good item. You're just basically making all the spells you cast free since everything costs you health. And this way it's just cheaper, obviously. Then we also picked up the first part of our boots, and then we actually are starting to build immediately towards a death cap. Now, my old school Mord build, I think a couple items aren't in the game anymore, which is unfortunate. Or maybe they are, I don't know. But I used to build more tanky with a little bit of damage, and it works really, really well because Mordekaiser can be built either like full defense, live forever, never die, deal decent damage, and just kind of try to outlive everyone. This one's kind of, I want to hit you like 2-3 times, you're going to die, and then I'm going to use your pet to kill everybody else. So this is more damage Mordekaiser, although there is some survivability in it because somebody with a shield can utilize that by having more health and just kind of sticking around a little bit longer. So we're kind of in between full damage and tank. So we're kind of in the middle point with this style of build. So we finished off our death cap to get a lot of ability power there, and then we also have finished off our boots with those magic pen boots. So that's what we're going to go ahead and pick up there. If you wanted something with defense in it, obviously you could do that. You can almost justify just about any item tanky on Mordekaiser. So there's quite a lot of different things you can do with him. So like I said, really versatile, even though his kit really doesn't help teams in a lot of ways. Just because no crowd control makes it a little bit tough. But we're going to actually get ourselves a little bit of crowd control. Here I actually came to help Teemo, and yeah, we died. Let's just put it that way. So Teemo ran off. That's fun. So we're going to go ahead and be dead, because that's what's up, and we'll be back at base. But we have our death cap because of damage. We have the revolver because of spell vamp. We're going to be building that into something a little bit later. We're not too worried about that now. We wanted to get a little bit more damage. Here we're going to finally pick up some health by picking up a Giant's Belt. We're going to go ahead and build this probably, and when I say probably, I know what it's going to build into, but we're going to build into the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. That way we are going to get more ability power and health, and we'll actually be able to then start slowing people, which will give us a little bit of crowd control, and that will help us out a little bit with that lack of CC. So here we're going to actually move over. We're going to find the Twisted Fate. He is going to use his barrier. I'm going to flash after him, though, and pick up him. And fun kill there. Now we have the pet, though. We can control him. Hey, let's push this tower. So just send the pet in. Start attacking other people or the tower and pick up a kill on Kale. Assisted by their own teammate. So it's really fun to kill people with their friends. It's probably one of my favorite parts of playing as Mordekaiser. So we're going to be building towards that rise, like I said. So pretty helpful there. It's also good for, chasing people or slowing them down. So that's how we're going to help ourselves out with that item. And, yeah, we're just going to keep going from there. But let's go ahead and talk about a little bit about those runes and those masteries. Now, as for the runes, you can go super beefy, you can go super AP. What I like to do, though, is I go with the magic penetration marks. We go with armor seals, because we don't really need anything over there, obviously, with mana regen or anything else too weird. So we're going to go with armor just to help us out a little bit there, especially if you're taking them top lane and you go up against somebody dealing physical damage. That armor will help you out. And then we're going to go with the ability power per level glyphs and then AP quintessences. That way we have a handful of AP early, and you really do deal a lot of damage early. Those the points you continuously put into Siphon to Destruction are really just going to murder people. It really does hurt people quite a lot. So that's what we're working on there. And, yeah, that's just kind of how we roll with the runes. Now, Masteries, You can kind of do this a few ways. If you want to build more tanky, you're probably going to put more into defense. But if you want to go with a more offensive Mordekaiser, you can go ahead and do the 2190, 21 the offense, pick up everything that's going to help you with the AP scaling and the more ability power early and as it scales throughout the game. And you can see that. That would be my AP No Mana page for my Rune Pages, which can be found on Facebook under photos, or in the description there's some Masteries videos in where I show all the Masteries. It's 2 different videos, but you can check that out too if you're worried about Masteries for Season 4. I got them all sorted out down there if you want to take a look at those. But we're back at base now. We're going to go ahead and pick up that Rylai's Crystal Scepter. Very helpful. Once again, having a little bit of health on Mordekaiser, never a bad thing. About the biggest thing that tends to kill him is the fact that you don't have crowd control and you don't stop people when they jump on your face. So it's good to have a little bit of health along with the ability to have your passive shield. So that's how I like to, usually play it. Now, we also then picked up a Vampiric Scepter. You might be like, well, that looks a little odd in there. It is and it isn't. What we're going to actually do with that, build that towards the Cutlass, and it's going to go towards our Hextech Gunblade. But before that, we're going to move into bottom. They're having a little bit of problem killing him, so one Scythe is just going to murder him and let Udyr get out without dying to that tower right away. Going to go ahead and chase, but good and vulnerable by Kale there to keep that alive. We're just going to turn around and blow Kale up. Elise picking up the kill there. We are going to die, though, to Renekton. We also have Twisted Fate show up now out of nowhere, and they're going to actually just clean us all up. So they regrouped a little bit better, which helps them out. Now, we're going to build that, though, like I was saying, into a Hextech Gunblade. And the Gunblade is good because it does give us good ability power. And you're like, well, what about that attack damage? Yes, I know. Not technically necessary, but when you are standard attacking, which you should be doing when they're in your face like that, you will be getting lifesteal. Not a bad thing. And that attack damage scales really, really well with your Q ability with that Mace of Spades. So, like, it really does help scale, and that will just help that deal more damage. Not a bad option. And also, the Gunblade does allow you to have that unique passive where, yeah, you can slow people. Or a unique active, sorry. Blah, 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 where you can then slow them. And, yeah, that way it also helps for chasing, a little bit more crowd control. There we're going to kill Gragas because that's what we want to do. And now he will follow us with his ghostly pet as we run after the Renekton, and yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So, Hextech Gunblade, we like it. It's good. It's not bad. So, and also 20% spell vamp, and we pick up the lifesteal as well. So, yeah, ways to stay alive and ways to kill people. So that's pretty much how I like to start out the build. There's actually a handful of ways you can end it too. We're actually gonna just kind of go over other items I like to consider and things I like to do. Obviously, at this point, 2 big fun ways to finish are Hourglass and Scepter, because that way, Abyssal Scepter, because you get magic resist and the armor. You can go into stasis too with Zonia's, and that actually helps you out pretty well. If you don't need one of those because you're doing alright, usually I pick up a Void Staff and just tear through people. It works out really, really well, and it's another way to do it. Now, another thing you can do if you're not worried about those once again is a Torment's not bad, because since you have a Rylai's Crystal Scepter, they pair together extremely well, and you'll get a lot of damage off because of it. Also gives you more magic penetration, so if you wanted to get that instead of one of those other items, you could do that. And one extreme damage build, which I don't currently use all the time, but if your team's pretty tanky and you really want to just go full damage and blow people up, I highly suggest getting a Deathfire Grasp fairly early. It does work out really, really well. I don't typically do it too often because, once again, I'll usually try to build a little bit of survivability in here. We did finish off the Hextech Gunblade. Now we do have the Abyssal Scepter. And that is, there's a little bit of defense with our build. There's a little bit of magic resist. We got a little bit of health. Next, we'll be working on our Hourglass next, because that's what we're probably going to go this game, or a Void Staff. We just want to blow people up, but this game's way in the bag. We're just going to win it right now. But you could also do the Deathfire Grasp. Lichbane, also not a terrible option. There's a lot of things that work on Mordekaiser. It just kind of comes down what you want to do. But I definitely start off, though, with the Revolver and the Death Cap and the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, and that's how we started off. But that's going to be a build for more. If you have any questions, put them down below. Everything's in the description, and don't forget to like this video, and I'll see all of you in the next build. Graves is going to smartly ward this bush so we get vision. They were going to turn it around, which would have been smart of them. He's going to go ahead and take out Misfortune. I'm going to go ahead and work on this Pantheon, keeping the distance between him, who's low, and then on them. I'm going to move in, hit him one more time, and pick up a kill on him too.